Morning all. Right, it's been a week since I planted my broad beans, and I was supposed to be going into my greenhouse to let you see how they were doing, and also that sweet potato I was talking about curing. But it's my allotment plot general meeting, AGM, today, and there's been some quite feisty emails going back and forth. It's my first year at the plot, so I'm actually going to attend, and you can't vote on anything or have a say in anything unless you're there. Everything's by like show of hands, or all those in favour say aye, or like that. So I'm actually going, and I think that's some of the bones of contention. That's something people have been a bit upset about, not being able to cast their votes because they didn't know about the meeting until late. Anyway, I don't want to get too technical, so I'll give you an update on the meeting. Obviously I won't film in there, and then I'll give you an update on what I'm planting this month and how my beans are doing, which I think they're doing okay. I haven't actually looked, but I think they're alright. See you in a bit. Right, so back from the meeting and back in the greenhouse. All I'm going to say about that meeting is you had to be there. It was an absolute, and apparently it's the first time it's happened, but it was an absolute poo show. There was all sorts of accusations and politics. The biggest and the most interesting thing was the use of irrigation systems, which aren't allowed. On my allotment, water rates actually doubled over the year, and that was big contention. And also electricity rates, because and there's only electricity used in, like, there's a little shop where the committee members sit. People were complaining about them using the kettle, which was a bit I don't know, but the water rates people were complaining about because they've doubled, literally doubled, and then some, I think. And some people have built irrigation systems which they were saying actually use less water, but the rules say you can't have one. So there was a big bone of contention about that, because people just thought, well, you can't have one, and that's that. And there was a sort of like a big shouting match, and all sorts of effing and blinding happened, and it was I don't know. The rates have gone up, basically, which is why there was such a debate, I guess. It's the first one that I've been to, so I wasn't expecting it to. Well, I was, because of the email that got sent. I was expecting it to be a bit fruity, but not that fruity. It basically descended into chaos by the end of it. And then the person that is now chairman, people were complaining about him being chairman because I'm not going to go into it. I'm not going to go into it. So let's talk about what I'm going to be sowing in January. And also, before we do that, I want to talk to you about seeds that I've saved. This is the first time ever in life that I've saved seeds. So I'll do a video on how I did it, because I wasn't sure it was going to work, so I didn't video it at the time. But I've got, I don't know if you can see that. Those are my pumpkin seeds, and there's probably 200 or something like that in there. So I'll be planting them at some point. These are my round yellow courgettes. These are green courgettes. These are butternut squash. Quite a few of those, and they're doing alright, aren't they? Yeah, they're doing alright. What else have I got here? I've got my kiwano seeds, a different variety of pumpkin, and these are green pumpkin. So a couple of different varieties of pumpkin. all seeds that I've saved. I've got one pumpkin left that I showed you last week. Hopefully it's still in some nick. Out there. This bad boy. So that was the last thing that I harvested last year. So I'll show you how I saved my seeds using that pumpkin, and I'll also show you how to make a lovely soup with that, and the last of my onions that I've got drying out here. But that's probably for another video. Let me quickly run through what I'll be planting this year, and then I'll let you see how the broad beans have got on. This is my trusty seed box. I can get the lid off. So everything else that I've bought is in there, and I'll have a quick run through what I'll be planting. So the first thing, and I like to start these early because they take quite a while to grow, and I'm starting them from scratch, is chili. These are called pep hammock. That's the variety that I'm growing. I've never grown them before, so I've no idea how they'll grow, but everything that I start, I'm going to start in the greenhouse the same way that I've started the broad beans that I'll show you now on the little heat mats. The second thing that I'll be planting is aubergines, and that is simply because of the length of the growing season. And I said before in my last video that last year I planted aubergines and they didn't work out, and by the time I wanted to plant some more, it was too late. The reason they didn't work out, I think human error, left them on the heat mat for too long after they germinated and killed them off. A schoolboy error. But this variety is called Solanum melongina or violet. Should we go with violet? Actually, it's half flange violet, but let's just go with violet. So we're planting violet aubergines. I'm also, again, need to be planted early if you're going to use them. The old Boxing Day tradition I said I missed. Onions. Going to plant myself some onions. I've forgotten what variety this is, and it's not written on the packet, unfortunately, but they were huge last year, so get them all into, I have to double up on the old heat mats to get them all in. The next thing I'll plant is cauliflower. Again, the same system. These are all year round cauliflower. So I'll get these. Everything that I talk about is probably going to go into one of these modules probably after this video, to be fair. And the last thing I'm going to plant, and I can't remember the name of these either, but they are beetroot. The name's rubbed off the packet, unfortunately. I can't see it. It's not written anywhere else. But these can go in modules, and they can go in the ground pretty soon after they, maybe a couple of 3 weeks after I've put them in modules and they've germinated, they'll be able to go into the ground. So those are my January sowings. Last year I didn't sow anything in January because I just didn't think you could. You know, I'm starting allotment for the first time. I had been growing stuff, but I just thought everything that gets started starts sort of March, April time, the traditional growing season. But this year I'm going to kickstart, so I'll have successional food all throughout the year, and I've done well. That pumpkin is my last pumpkin. I also got a couple of butternut squash left that I've saved. They came out of the ground in September. It's January and I'm still finishing them off. I store them much how they either where you saw that pumpkin store or in my little summer house. It's very cold at this time of year, so there's no heat in there. It's nice and cool, and there's a nice dark place, so they store literally for months. And if you imagine how long it takes for a squash to get from wherever it's grown to your shelf in the supermarket, it doesn't happen just like that, does it? So there's a period of time. Right, let's get on to what we are doing in here now. It has been 7 days since I planted those broad beans. I need to just organise myself a little bit better. Now, as I said last week, I've got my little setup in here that kept it toasty in here for my sweet potato, which are in here. Give me a second, I'll show you. Curing, and they need humidity and heat. So they're in there curing, and they should be just about ready at this point. And I've heated this greenhouse with my radiator. I don't think I needed it to germinate my broad beans, which I'll show you now. But I am extremely happy about this. Somebody mentioned that it's a extremely, hold on, just take that lid off, expensive way to warm a greenhouse, which is indeed correct, but it is only, there's another one below this, but it is only for a week. And also when I've got seeds in here, the next batch of seeds that I put in here, I won't keep the greenhouse heated. It won't need it, although it has been extremely cold over the last week. It has been extremely cold out here, and they would have still germinated, these broad beans, but definitely not as quick as they have. So I'll leave these in here to grow on for another week or two maybe, and then I'll put them into the ground and cook myself some sweet potato roasties, I think, at some point. The radiator is going to come back out of here now, and everything else will just be grown, germinate on my heat mats. Things like aubergines and chilies, once they've germinated, I'll have to take them inside and put them on a window ledge, which is normally where I keep my heat mats, but I've got a greenhouse for a reason, so I may as well use it. So I'll germinate in here, and then the things that won't do so well in cold temperatures, I'll take and stick on a window ledge, sunny window ledge. So all done. It's getting a bit windy outside. Heat mats have done their job, and the crops are now, this one sat here just growing on. I bought those heat mats last year because all my crops failed, basically. All my seedlings failed, and I say that it was about 8 of these trays failed, which I normally start on the ledge in the house, and it just didn't germinate for whatever reason. Maybe it was a seed, I don't know why, but I needed things to germinate quick, and I'd never used heat mats before. But if you haven't and you don't, I would definitely advocate for using them, because they encourage things, should I say, to germinate so much quicker than they naturally would. So I would definitely suggest, if you haven't got some, that you do get some. I always I steered away from stuff like that because I just thought I'll just use nature, which is admirable, to be fair, if that's what you do. But when I was in dire need, because I had nothing to plant, and I tried them, the success rate is awesome. So I would, if you haven't got some and you've got issues with germination, it's well worth the purchase.